Hello, my name is Mfawa Alfred Onen. On behalf of the UNINOIDS team, we wish to present to you UNINOIDS. UNINOIDS is an online-based educational facility designed to enable you to deliver training on Google products and services. Not just Google products and services at the long run, you can also use it to teach or administer training for other products as well. Now, but the focus of this particular phase of UNINOIDS is to harness Google's built-in Google Apps for education. We are running one here in Bingham University, and this is targeted at universities and institutions within Africa who uses the Google Apps for education package from Google, which of course is free. Alright, so before we get started, I just want to point out some things. We've created some demo accounts, as you can see here on the screen. I've created an account for the administrator, so if you're going to be using this to test the system, then all this has been provided for you. We've created a list of 3 students. This is all for demonstration purposes, and all of them share the same password. Alright, so let's get started. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to start with the administrator and see how the administrator will create curriculums, will create study materials, and then we'll actually assign tutors to the individual curriculums that he has created. Alright, so to do that, I'll switch over to this Firefox. Here I have UNINOIDS loaded. So to log in, basically it's just you click on this button here, which takes you to the if you are logged into more than one account in Google, it gives you this nice picker where you pick any account you want to log in with. So as you can see here, this is demo or the default, so I'm going to continue here. So because this is the first time I'm logging into the account, I'm taken to the permissions page, which is standard for the Google's OAuth service or module. So here we have all the list of permissions you're supposed to allow. So but for the fact that this is going to be UNINOIDS and it's going to be run for educational purposes, so we as students will trust our administrators. Alright, so we're going to allow the system. Alright, so when you do that and it's successful, then you get to the dashboard. So this is the dashboard for UNINOIDS. So different roles have different menus listed here. So here you can see tweets. These are my personal tweets. I went ahead and added my Twitter username to the list. So if you have Google Plus account already, this will pull out your Google account's activities and feeds. We have a calendar here. Now this calendar basically just is limited. It just shows you just the normal calendar view. So hopefully within the next phase, this will actually be incorporated into the calendars API, where we can create events and then they will show up here on the calendar as well. Alright, so let's go through the menus. Click on profile. This is where you set up your Twitter username if you have one. It shows you your role, your first name, last name, and if I had a profile picture and a Google Plus account, then this will show my picture of Google Plus. It will pull the picture and then it will show a button here that says I'm on Google Plus. Alright, so the first thing an administrator will want to do is actually create curriculums. So click on the manage curriculums menu here. So here we have some curriculums already created for Google Apps Script, Google Drive. So let's just for this demonstration purpose, let's create a new curriculum. Let's create a Google Plus curriculum. Okay, so here I'm just going to call this Google Plus. Okay, so this is a curriculum on Google Plus. So here you see the status. It can be inactive and active, and this basically just hides it from the tutors. So this will be an event where you are just working on a curriculum and it's experimental, and you don't want it to be available to tutors as well. So you can disable that and then it won't show up on their list. Alright, so here I want to create an active one, so I click on create curriculum. Alright, so you can see the Google Plus curriculum has been added and the status here is active. So as well, we can delete and edit the curriculum at will if you want. So the next thing the administrator can do is to create study materials. Now study materials in UNINOIDS are just links to resources hosted in Google and other places if you're using it for other products other than Google. So the reason is because we cannot maintain the documentation in Google because it's Google proprietary, or even though it's open now, Google might decide to change or update the documentation at will. So we want to just point it to their documentation system here. Alright, so let's create one for Google Plus. So add study material. Okay, so here I provide the title, so let's say Google Plus, or let's just call this Introduction to Google Plus. And then here I can now provide a URL to the documentation. So this would be a valid documentation if you're using this, but this just to demonstrate. Here you put the URL of the material, or where to access the material. Alright, so you now basically assign this to the Google Plus curriculum, and you add the study material here. Alright, so you can see the Introduction to Google Plus is showing here. You can as well edit and delete this. So the last thing the administrator can do really to manage this is to actually assign tutors to individual curriculums here. So here you can see a tutor here, UNINOIDS Tutors, has been assigned the Google App Scripts and Google Plus or Google Drive curriculum. So since we only have we're trying to demonstrate this UNINOIDS tutor here, of course you can create more than one tutor if you want. We're going to go ahead and add a new tutor. So on the add tutor page, you can see the curriculums here being listed here. You can see Google Plus, AppScript, and all. So I just want to go ahead and add the Google Plus curriculum to the same tutor. So I'm just going to select that from the list. I already have it preloaded. Alright, so I click on create tutor, and then here you can see that it has been added to the list of curriculums that he has, as UNINOIDS Tutors. Okay, so at a glance, this is basically what the administrator can do to keep the system going. So bulk of the activities will be happening in the tutors page, because there they have direct access to students and their classes. Alright, so let me switch over to let me log in as a tutor. Okay, so I'll switch over here, click login. So as usual, I have more than one account here, so I'm just going to pick the tutors account. You can see here it's default, so I continue. Alright, so I'm taken to the permissions page, so I allow access. Alright, so you can see here the menu has changed for the tutors list, and because of this demonstration, we went ahead and created a Google Plus profile for the UNINOIDS Tutors. This is just to show you how it gets listed here. You can see the activities showing up, the calendar. Here in this case, the events for this person does not have permission to view this. So the reason is because when we created this calendar entry, we only restricted it to some few people. Alright, so this can be corrected if you like. You can set it to public, and then it could be accessed by anybody. Alright, so here you can see this is pulling out the Google Devs feeds. So the way we designed UNINOIDS, in this case, we just put the default or fallback Twitter username. So if you've not put your username, it will go ahead and pull out the Google Devs tweets from Twitter. Okay, so here too, when you click on the profile, in this case, because there is a Google Plus profile and a picture, you can see the system has pulled out the picture, and then you can see the button here, I'm on Google Plus, and the role here is tutor. So he can, let me for instance show you how this works. So I'm going to put my personal Twitter username. So I update my profile, and then here I have your profile has been successfully updated. So if I scroll, you can see now it's pulling out my feeds. This is Twitter, and then of course all my Google Plus activities here are post. Alright, so as a tutor, what I can do is manage learning groups. I can create learning groups. So learning groups in this case is basically like a class, but in this case we are not limiting it to just a class, because you can have a class and then have multiple learning groups within the class. So that's the idea behind UNINOIDS. So you can see here where you have one learning group here, which in this case is being tutored by UNINOIDS Tutors. This is the name of the learning group, and then they are actually studying the Google Drive curriculum. So let's create one here for our Google Plus. Okay, so the name of the learning group will now be, maybe let's call this 400 level CMP Google Plus. or just let me just leave it like this. So this is just to show an example. So curriculum here, I'm just going to assign it to Google Plus. And now the reason why I can see all this drop down in this list is because as a tutor I was given the permissions to run all these three curriculums. So if you have more than one and then you've not been assigned any, then it will show up in your drop down menu. Alright, so here we expect a list of students comma separated, which you can easily generate with Excel or CSV, and then open, copy and paste the file. So in this case we're just going to use our student list here. So paste this here and then we create the learning group. So as this is going on, I'm just going to explain what is actually going behind the scenes. In this case we are using the Google Provisioning API because we have access to our Google Apps domain and we've enabled API access, and then in that case we've given the tutors account a privilege to access the Provisioning API. So with that we can actually create groups in the API. So if I switch over to my the Google Apps dashboard, so here you can see under the groups, you can see where you have a previous class. If I click on groups again just to refresh it, so here it should show all my group lists, and then every learning group here actually creates a group and assigns all the students to the group. So here you can see our 400 levels CMP here has been added as a group. This is because of the learning group we've created. Okay, so if you click on this just to show you that it's actually added, you can see it has added the two students here, student 2 and 1, and then you can see them added here as well. Alright, so let me go back to the groups. Alright, so of course if you want you can view the students in the group. This is just to give you an example of, okay, these are the 3 students in this group or in this learning group. Okay. Alright, so the next thing a tutor can do in this case, before I go forward, let me just show you what it will look like if you're logged in as a student. So let me log out from the admin account. So as a student, the moment you've been added to a learning group, then you inherit all the study materials that are enabled for the study for the learning group. So let me log in as a student. Okay, so in this case let me log in as student 2 and then I'll continue. Okay, so allow access. Okay, so you can see here this view is for the students, so you have actually added my Twitter username as well. This account does not have Google Plus set up, so okay, so with that if I click on the profile here, you can see that there's no Google Plus and this is a student. Now the other thing that is different between the profile page for the other administrators, the tutor and the main admin, and the student is that the student must provide a matriculation number or a registration number, and this is common in all major universities in Africa because you want to identify the students by some form of identification number that will be used throughout the school. So this will appear in, let's say, their certificate, to appear in their results and all. Alright, so just to show you that, so what a student can do is the student can view the study materials. So you can see, because the student has been part of a different learning group for Google Drive, you can see the materials for Google Drive is showing up, and then the introduction to Google Plus that we just added is now showing up. So the idea now is, well, they can click on this link, they can study, and once they're done they can be given assessments, which usually should be skill based by the tutor. So if you switch back to the tutor, the tutor can actually click on the manage assessment tab. So here you can see you can only create one assessment per learning group. So the idea is that the assessment is actually 100%, so you can have an assessment more than 100%. So you create one assessment and then the assessment is going to be the final assessment for the learning group, right? So let's so what you can do is you can actually create a new assessment by just copying and pasting the text. This will just create a text file in the administrator's Google Plus or Google Drive account, or you can upload the assessment. So based on that, so we can create a new file. So let's call this Google Plus assessment. Okay, so description, let's see, some description for Google Plus. Okay, so here we select the learning group, so we want to attach that to the 400 level CMP, and then here you can choose a file. So I'm going to just choose a file. I think I have a demo. Okay, so let's just choose this. So this is a doc file, so it's going to be Microsoft Word 2003-97. We selected due date, so let's say this is August and it's going to be 27th, for instance. Alright, so once we've done, we can upload the assessment. So again, behind the scenes, this will actually upload this to the Tutors Google Drive, and then within that it shares the file with the students in the group or in the class. Okay, so you can see this. So if you go to the Tutors email and click on his drive, okay, so here you can see, let me dismiss this. So here I can see all the learning groups. So the more all the learning groups he has will now be created inside folders. So let's go to the CMP 400 CMP. So you can see the Google assessment doc. You can see status here has been shared by him, so he has been shared to all the students in the group. So let me go back to one of the students. Let me switch the account to student 2. This is just to see if student 2 has been notified. Okay, so let's log in. And yes, indeed, you can see he has been notified via email of the link. So here we can click on the link. You can see that UNINOIDS, that Tutors has shared this document. This is native with Google. So here you can click to open, for instance, so the student can open the file. So now because I have multiple accounts, let me can choose a different account here and say I just want to be logged in as the student. So let me just sign out. This is what you get sometimes when you have multiple accounts logged in. So but just to show you that the student can view the documents, student 2. Okay, okay, so let's click the link again, and this time around let's see if it takes us to the document. Alright, so we should have access to the documents here. Alright, so you can see here UNINOIDS student 2, and we have access to the document that has been sent. So this is it, and of course the student can print it if they want. And the students, if they want, they could go to their drive. So in this case, the student is just logging into his drive for the first time, so we can accept all the messages. So you can check the okay, so alright, so we've logged out. So we're just logged in as one of the students here, so I think this is okay. So this is just to show you that the student gets notified, and then if the student likes, the student can go to the assessment tab as well, and the student can see the Google assessment made by the UNINOIDS tutors, and you can see the due date. He only has 3 days left. This is just to show how the student is progressing and the date he's supposed to submit this assessment. So they can also click on the view tab, which will as well take them to the same documents, since the document has been shared with them. Okay, so it doesn't matter, they could do it from the Google Drive UI, or they could do it from the assessment panel. Okay, so what the tutor can do as well is the tutor can score students. So for instance, this is Google Plus assessment, so you can click on the scores, and here you can see all the students 1, 2, 3. You can enter the scores here. So let's say this one scored 45, the student scored 67, and let's say this one super fast and super clever, and then we're able to save the scores. Okay, so what we can do as well is we can click on the view grades. This at the moment will just show the grades without making it accessible to the students. So based on the metrics set by the school, in this case we're using Bingham University as case study, these are the corresponding grades. You have 70 and above, you have an A. If you have 60 and above, you have a B, and then if you don't have up to 50, then you get a D. And that's how it works. So you can see all the students are graded, and based on the scores, you can as well go ahead and publish the results. So but before the publishing, if the student goes to the grades tab, they might not see anything because the result has not been made available to them. This is how it works, because sometimes the result has to be approved before it's sent to the students. So once that is done, the tutor can as well just click publish results, and that will publish the results. And then now when the student clicks his grades, the student can see the assessment that has been graded. You can see his score, he can see the grade he had, and then of course this is experimental, so this at the moment is not being implemented, but this will be a point where you print a certificate for this particular student that has done this, right? So this is the functionality that can be done. So here you can see manage certificates. Now this is just to an event that you wish to publish some certificates. You can do that as well, and the certificates can only be published or issued when the scores have been published to the students. So that's how the system works. So if I click on the manage certificates, and then here you can now actually issue certificates. And okay, so here you can as well retrieve certificates and all. Alright, so when the student comes here, then you should be able to see the ability to print certificates and all. So hopefully this is a holistic view of UNINOIDS, and feel free to go ahead and test it, and hopefully this has given you a general overview of how the system works, and the integration we have with Google Drive, the provisioning API, and Google Plus. So thank you very much, and we hope everything goes as well.